with Ole Miss, we know it's been an interesting conversation in the last month in the lead up to that game with them. And you got name checked when Lane Kiffin took the job at LSU. He said he got there and he called you on his way in. Obviously, you two know each other and have worked together before. What was it like hearing from Lane in that moment? And what'd you tell him about taking over this job that you know so well?
I was excited. He had called me and asked me about the LSU job. I told him I think it's one of the best jobs in the country, and I think he'd do a great job here. And then when he landed, he was riding around Tiger Stadium, and he goes, "Hey, I was feeling you, man. I was wanting to talk like Ed Orgeron." I said, "Hey, man, I put that Cajun gree on that stadium. Everybody goes around there feels me."
That is amazing. Obviously, it was the big story, him going and him not coaching Ole Miss in the playoffs, but some assistants going back and coaching in the playoffs. What's your thought on a head coach that leaves? And I know it has to be a mutual agreed upon by the school he left and the coach, but just your thought on coaches that leave and don't stay and coach their teams in the postseason.
It's a difficult situation, obviously. But look at Tulane. John Summerall stayed. It was seamless, okay? That I think that it could have been done better. I wish they'd have let Lane and stay and coach his team. And, sometimes you got to take the better job. And in my opinion, although Ole Miss is a great job, Lane took the chance to compete at a high level and win national championships for years to come. Louisiana has a great recruiting home base, and I think that's the reason he took it. I wish they'd have let him stay and coach.
So that a tough decision that a coach had to make about his future. We saw a team, we were talking off air briefly about Notre Dame, me and my dad's alma mater, deciding after being snubbed by the playoff committee to not play in their bowl game there. Did you ever think you'd live long enough to see teams not playing in bowl games like that? What'd you think of that move?
No. Well, first of all, I know where Notre Dame's mad. I think they should have been in there instead of Alabama. When we play for the national championship, you got to go beat Alabama. You got to win the SEC championship, and you darn near got to be undefeated. And these teams crying to get into the playoffs to play for the national championships with 3 losses, that's hard for me to believe. I do believe Jeremiah Love is one of the best players in the team. Marcus in the country. Marcus has his team playing very well. The defense has improved. I really thought that Miami and Notre Dame should have been in the playoffs instead of Alabama.
How about the system as a whole? It's probably going to go to 16 teams. Would you do anything different in the selection process?
Yeah, keep it at 4. It was so simple then. That was elite. You know what I mean? And now they made it like a basketball tournament. 16 teams to play for the national championship. What's a tournament? So you can lose 2 or 3 games and still win the national championship? To me, that's unheard of.
It's certainly a much different space than the one that's your point. You guys competed in and dominated in back in 2019. So, Coach, when you look at this field now and the teams that you've gotten to watch this year, we mentioned some of the ties here going into bowl season. Do you think Indiana is the best team in college football right now based on what you saw this weekend and all season from them?
I think they are right now. Now, as you guys know, you got to do it in the championship, and you got to play it game after game, one game at a time. But they're impressive. The job that Signetti has done, and Fernando is a wonderful player, but the way they play defense, they run the ball, they physical. Who'd have ever thought that you see Indiana being a team like that, but they doing it. Proud of them.
So, with 12 teams in it, 4 teams would have to get the bye, have to win 3 games. The other 8 teams, if they were to win it, would have to win 4 games. As a coach, would strategy and coaching in the playoffs be different than the regular season when if you lose, the season's over? It's a one-and-done situation?
You have to keep your team fresh. I remember we had 16 practices available to us when we played Clemson. I only used 9. And my team was fresh and we're ready to go. So it's a long haul. You got to play them one at a time. All right, now, as you know, it's one and done, but we never thought like that. We thought we was going to beat everybody. You know what I'm saying? We were thinking one at a time, especially when you got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. We were very confident that we were the best team. We had to say it. Anybody, anywhere, anytime, bring it on.
And that certainly worked out incredibly well for you guys. Coach, we always ask you every time you're on, we know your desires to get back into coaching. What's the latest for you as you look out at this landscape and try and figure out what's next?
Surprisingly, I haven't been offered a job yet, that something that I think that I'd want to take, but I'm still looking. And I know the right thing's going to come. And if it doesn't, I'm fine. I'm fine doing what I'm doing. LSU is taking care of me. But I am going to get back into coaching. But I'm taking my time, and hopefully the right thing comes.
Would it need to be as a coordinator, or would you do a position coach?
I'd go to the defensive line coach, maybe a recruiting coordinator. But, just coaching the defensive line again. I'm 64. Man, I think about 10 years left. I want to coach again. And that's the position I enjoy coaching. I'd like to coach all four, get a great pass rush, play for a national championship. I'd be happy.
It's certainly anyone would benefit from having you in the mix with that group or any group. I heard you on with the guys at Bussin' with the Boys talking about back in the day, some of the recruiting tales there. And the Adrian Peterson story was incredible, talking about trying to get his dad transferred from a jail in Texarkana out to the West Coast to potentially lure him out there. What I want to know, is that the furthest lengths you ever went to try and recruit a player, or was there somewhere else where you tried even more to get them to come to whatever school you were at the time?
That's the furthest thing I can remember trying to do, obviously. Now, I almost fought a couple of guys on the pier out there in Manhattan Beach. It was either they come to USC, we fight, or they jump in the water, swim with the sharks.
That's one way to do it, man. That is one way to do it. It's like when you think about, though, modern recruiting and talking about it now, where before it was something that happened behind the scenes, now it's out in the open with all the money. Do you think that makes it easier for coaches? Like, I know a lot of coaches who see recruiting as a huge part of the job treated it as offensive, that people would say, oh, these kids are just coming for the money now. Like, How would it impact the way you pitch a kid if you were trying to recruit him in this day and age?
I think you still have to have a personal relationship, because once the money is given and once it is done, they got to coach. You got to coach them, and they got to play for you, man. And they got to do a great job for you. So I think that developing a personal relationship, getting to know that character, knowing who they are. Hey, when you walk in the building, it ain't about money, man. It's about winning. And I think that's still important.
So you haven't coached in the NIL portal era as much. So what do you think is the most difficult part about this new era of recruiting, whether it's an 18-year-old out of high school or a portal kid?
First of all, having enough money, being at a school that has the money to have the success. It seems like that's the key to everything. Now, other than that, is getting to know the kid, and listen, look, some of these kids, from what I hear, they're going to tell you another school's offering a bunch of money that they're not. It's about finding the truth and then put them in a slot where they fit. It's just like the NFL. Hey, man, where you fit? What's your ability? Do you fit here? Are you an A player? Do you deserve this amount of money? How many plays have you made? I can't pay you on potential. I got to pay you on what you do on tape. And I think that's important.
Yeah, production, not potential. Absolutely exactly. The right way to go about this.